Hello and welcome everyone back to Lion's Lane. My name is Leo and today I'm bringing you another video in our Fly in July art challenge. If you guys are new here, welcome. I do art of all kinds and I'm doing a challenge. Basically a self-made one to kind of make myself get out of my comfort zone and have a reason to upload videos. But if you want more details on what that is, go ahead and check out the playlist link down in the description below. My first video in this series will tell you all about what that is, kind of why I'm doing it, and what's going on. But yeah, so I decided to do another video where I combine multiple days. So this is prompt 21 and 22, Billow and Fancy. So, and kind of the reason I decided to do that is because for Billow alone, I really didn't have enough in my head that I thought would be interesting. So I waited a day. I decided to just kind of let myself ruminate over it a little bit, and I did come up with this idea today. This new idea of sort of like, I guess you could call her like a fairy or a pixie or something, or maybe an elemental, but she's basically a dandelion lady. And I just thought the idea was super cute, and she basically has this giant afro, but it's a dandelion, and I just fell in love with the idea. Whoops, I'm dropping stuff. Anyway, I fell in love with the idea and decided to go with it, so that's what you guys are seeing here. Right now I'm just working on the sketching. This piece actually took me longer than some of the other ones in the past. I was being really particular about trying to get the anatomy somewhat realistic. My main goal with this piece, though, that I don't think I executed super well, was to try and practice perspective. Perspective is something that I don't have a lot of experience with, and I'm not super fantastic at it, especially when it comes to body length, if that makes sense. So like, I can foreshorten hands and stuff to the front pretty decently. I can foreshorten legs if they're like curled up pretty decently, but when it comes to tilting the entire body, so like say the head is really far back and the feet are really far forward, which is what I was trying to do here, I have some issues with that. So I was basically trying to practice that. I think it turned out really good all in all in the end, but I still think I need to do some like perspective studies or look up some tutorials, stuff like that. But yeah, so here I'm just adding in some extra little like dandelion fluff things. And then I end up going in using my select tool and moving some of those to make the silhouette a little bit more interesting. That's something I've learned with character design, is the more you can kind of break up the silhouette and have things kind of sticking out, usually the better. Not always. If you're trying to go for something simple that, for instance, something that needs to be animated over and over again, then you don't necessarily need to focus on that, in my opinion. But I think if you're doing an illustration, the more that you can break up the silhouette and make things interesting, the better. So here I had this idea for this like petal dress underneath. So over top there's like a transparent billowing, hence the prompt, kind of, I don't know what you would call that, blouse dress skirt thing. She kind of looked like a jellyfish there in that in that little section. But so underneath I had the idea for this like dandelion petal skirt dress that went all the way down. I did kind of stick with that, but I ended up changing things up a bit later on, as you guys will see. Also, I'm doing a lot of talking in this one, so everyone let me know if you like that, if that's okay, if you like when I explain things more, or if you prefer me to be more quiet and let you enjoy the drawings on your own. Just let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I'm working on the line art here. Even though it wasn't really necessary, probably for some people, I decided that I was going to do the line art for the entire body and then go over top of it. And actually, now that I think about it, it probably was necessary, because I ended up making the satiny, tulle dress skirt thing transparent, so being able to see the lines of the body underneath, I think, really sells that. So in my head I knew what I was doing. So there I'm just working on the hands, still getting used to drawing hands a little better. I kind of have these default poses. That one I'm drawing right now is one of them. That's kind of one of my default hands. I just toss it out really quickly. It's pretty easy, but they could definitely use some work. Here I'm just adding some kneecaps. And she extra thick. Her thighs are thick. And I think it's because I've been playing Guilty Gear Strive. And I've been playing Ramlethal. So Ramlethal got some thick thighs. So it just kind of happened. Just kind of happened. And yes, she has pointy ears, this dandelion woman. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I think it suits her. Did some thick eyelashes here. I wanted to put like a gem in the center of her forehead, but I ended up just doing like a small gold dot. As if she had like painted it on with honey or something. Now I'm working on the dandelion up top. I think I made it a little more spiky than it needed to be, but I was trying to find that balance between soft and the little spokes that a dandelion fluff does have. Lining the wings here on the back. And honestly, the tail was an afterthought. Like, I hadn't originally planned on her having a tail. However, looking at this now, it almost makes me think of like, it would be cool to do a series of like dragon people. And then like doing their, so like make the dragons and then do their forms when they're not in dragon form. So like she would be like a nature dragon and have this cool dandelion form and like stem wings and tail and stuff. So there's a thought. If you guys like that idea, let me know and I'll do like a dragon series. Here I'm having to move some of the line art up a layer because I drew it on the wrong layer. So I'm just selecting that, cutting and pasting it to a new layer, and then erasing what was underneath. It took me a minute to do that because I messed up in some places, but I think it's looking good overall. Now, something about me, as you guys watch more of my videos and watch me design characters, I tend to gravitate towards things not solely on females, but especially on females, where things are very flowy, very oversized, very frilly, very feminine. Like, I like to take it that extra step. I'll draw male characters with all of these things too, but especially on women, I usually push that and exaggerate it. I like elegance, panache, and the thing was fancy. So when I think of fancy, I just think of like, everything is extra, you know? So that's what I was trying to embody in this dandelion piece here. I was gonna make it extra and add a crown, but I decided not to do that because it would have been a bit too busy around her forehead area. So here I'm just lining the bell at the bottom and pausing to get some reference here because I did use dandelion references for this whole piece, as far as honestly everything, even the colors at the end, I used a reference for those to pick those. And here I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do with this dandelion skirt, because I really liked the idea, but then I realized at the angle I was drawing her at, see how that curves downwards, whereas the bottom of her skirt curves upwards? It didn't really make sense based on the perspective. So I decided to go with more of like another sheer skirt underneath the bell that has a more of an upward curve, and then threw some dandelion petals on top of that to kind of make that look more accurate. If you want to say accurate. This, you know, this is a piece from my imagination, so accuracy is not necessarily the go-to here, but I think it worked out fine. So here I'm just doing one of the most tedious parts of my whole process, going in and connecting lines, because the way that I color in Procreate, just a little rundown for you guys, is I put the layer that I'm on, I make it a reference layer, and so what that means is if any layer that I fill in with the paint bucket, will fill in to where those lines are on the layer that's the reference layer. So it's basically like the magic wand, but kind of cheatsy. But the thing about it is, as it would also be with the magic wand, is if I don't have all of the lines completely closed, then the color splashes out everywhere, and you guys will see that happening. I tried my best to make sure it wouldn't happen, but it happened anyway, as you guys will soon see. But yeah, I really loved working on this piece. It was really fun. I don't think I've ever really drawn something like this, as far as like, I've drawn fairies and stuff before, but they're usually pretty like generic, you know. They might have pointy ears, have some wings that look kind of like dragonfly wings or butterfly wings, and then that's kind of as far as I take it. But this was much more detailed and much more, to me, like a true character design, where I was really thinking outside of the box for a lot of things. So I really had a good time doing this. There I'm just adding some little spike effects. I wanted to make her hair seem as fluffy as possible. And I think I'm just checking my references here again. Here I'm putting in some background colors. I went with a yellow, like a really soft yellow. I end up making it a little darker later, but... And here you can see I'm trying to fix some of these lines so that the whole background doesn't get filled in. So now this process is probably the most boring process. You would think it would be line art, but line art actually has a bit of fun to it. Coloring takes a while, and it's kind of tedious just because all you're doing is picking colors, filling them in, picking colors, filling them in, picking colors, filling them in. It's pretty boring. It gets more fun when you're shading and adding highlights and stuff, but this part was a little tedious. So I did take an airbrush there and kind of airbrush a green color over top of that dark blackish tone, just to make it look more like a dandelion stem on the bodice there. So here you'll see it looks like I'm erasing all of my body work, but that's what I want to happen, because what I'm going to do is make that layer transparent, and then you'll be able to see it all again. And I'm having to fill it in traditionally there because there was a line missing that I just did not feel like fixing. So then on a layer underneath the previous layer, I added a darker shade for the underskirt just so it would show up a little more, and still made it transparent too. Character design is my true love when it comes to art. When I was younger, I wanted to be a concept artist, you know, working for gaming companies and stuff like that. And who knows, it might still happen one day, but I just think that there's few things as fun as A, creating a world that's your very own, figuring out how things work, what characters would be like, what their driving force is, what the laws are in that world, and then coming up with characters to put in that world. There's something so fun about that. I remember being really young and trying to make different comics and stuff, and I never really made it very far just because my attention span would not allow me to do so, but I just remember having so much fun creating worlds and characters, and so that's something I really love a lot, and that you guys can expect to see on this channel quite frequently. So here I'm just adding a background, just some soft airbrush, nothing super detailed. And I ended up kind of changing the tones of that to more of a pink color. I thought it looked nice, kind of like a sunset or sunrise moment. Now I'm just adding some highlights with the Luminance brush. One of my favorite brushes. I use it pretty much in every piece. And this piece is pretty much done. Once I add the highlights, I'm going to add some effects to the background. And then at the end of the video, you will see my finished product, because I ended up changing the colors of the lines and some of the background again. But if you guys like this design and like this character and want to see me go into more detail about character concepts, designing characters, or just want to see kind of some of the OCs and stuff that I'm planning on making, let me know. I'd be more than happy to make a full series strictly about character design or world building or anything like that. Like I said, that stuff is really, really fun to me, and I love talking about it. I could talk about it all day. So let me know in the comments down below. If you guys liked this piece, let me know also, and let me know what you're looking forward to other than character design and all that stuff. But make sure you turn on your notifications, like the video if you liked it, and I would appreciate it if you guys subscribe if you liked it. That way you can see all my new stuff coming out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.